into this because it's really interesting in that first soundbite. What he's essentially saying is that these MAGA Republicans, these extremists in Congress, they won't condemn January 6th, but they're talking about crime on the streets. And he's mixing apples and oranges here because most people that you speak to out there, Republicans, basically say, I don't know who this MAGA Republican is that he's talking about. Right. I'm just a normal, hardworking person. I'm paying my taxes. I'm going to work every day. I'm trying to put food on the table. And in this economy, that is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, in that first soundbite, we kind of had the full level of Biden phoniness on this issue, where he wants to say he's the uniter healing the country, and then he refers to his opponents as these people who want violence and are a threat to the country. The fact is that it's more than just funding. He's now obviously trying to get ahead of this issue, saying let's have more police funding. But you see in jurisdictions, even where they've realized they made huge mistakes, going down the path led by Democrats toward reining in police, limiting prosecution, even when they restore funding or even when they decide they don't want to cut it, they have trouble finding police officers. You see it in Seattle. If you embrace lawlessness, people will not want to be police officers. Even if you decide you ought to fund police, it's not just funding.
I think you're right. And when it comes to crime on the streets and how people are feeling, Brandon, you know, there are a lot of issues on the ballot, if you will, in the midterms. Crime is certainly one of them, but taxes are another. The economy is another. The border is another. You know, you start to put all these things together, and the expectation is that there will be a red wave. House is going to be easier, though, than in the Senate.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, crime's still at the top of that list because if people don't feel safe, they're going to vote accordingly. And right now we're seeing crime up across the board. You know, homicides are up about 40% relative to pre-pandemic levels. Property crime, you name it, it is all up. And people don't feel safe in their own homes anymore. That's a huge problem for Democrats who are in control of the House, Senate, and White House. It's good to see Biden address this issue and to rebuke the ridiculous defund the police movement. But it might be a little bit too late right now because because we've seen so much increase in crime, and just saying that we want to fund more police officers is important, but like James said, we don't have the police officers to fill these roles while we have tight labor markets and the police being constantly beaten up in the press and elsewhere.
And that's the problem, right? When you allow the system to get to this level where the morale is so low, people are leaving the force in record droves, and the young people don't want to come in because they feel like they're being attacked for doing their job. It creates a situation where nobody wants to step up anymore. That's why that we were talking about a more even keel approach when it comes to crime coming from the GOP. Might have been the better way to go about this. Having said that, we got to leave it there, gentlemen. Stay with me because coming